So this video is going to be dedicated to the history of the Republican Party. Because Democrats and the media, they put out this false narrative how Republicans are racist and they're for the top 1%, when I don't see how that is true. And the Democrats, they never tell you the true history of their party. Now, the history of the Republican Party starts off in 1854 in a little schoolhouse in Ripon, Wisconsin. It was a small group of individuals, revolutionaries, that wanted to abolish slavery. Now, talking about the Democratic Party, Andrew Jackson was the 7th president of the United States. He owned multiple slaves, and there was harsh punishment for those that didn't follow his rules. The Democrats were for who controlled the South during the Civil War. The Republicans controlled the North. The Republicans wanted to free slaves. The Democrats wanted to use them to better their own growth. They used slaves to pick cotton and work on their farms so the Democrats could, of course, make money. The Republicans and the Democrats, they disagreed on slavery, and the Civil War happened. After the Civil War, when the Republicans won, it was the Democrats who created the KKK. They created this group to suppress and intimidate black voters in the elections, because after the Civil War, ex-Confederates had their voting rights taken away. And the Republicans passed the 15th Amendment, which allowed ex-slaves to vote, pretty much. And the KKK would hang and lynch these black Republicans and white Republicans. And let's not forget Democratic President Woodrow Wilson. He had the movie screenplayed privately. He had the movie Birth of a Nation screenplayed privately in the White House. If you don't know what that movie is, it's basically a movie about the KKK. And many people are saying, if it was the Republicans who got slaves out, who freed slaves, then why are blacks now voting Democratic primary? And that's because mostly around the Civil Rights Act, which was passed by Lyndon B. Johnson, 1965, which destroyed voting barriers so blacks could vote. And these barriers, basically, not even 10% of before this, not even 10% of blacks could vote. After this act was passed and this law was passed, more than 90% were able to vote. And this is when they started to vote Democratic. LBJ was a Southern Dixiecrat who also shared his fair share of racism. But you're saying, if he passed this law giving slaves, breaking down barriers so blacks could vote, how is he racist? Well, I'll tell you this. In a meeting with Southern leaders and officials, he calmly said, if I pass this, I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. This is merely a ploy so the Democrats could gain more votes. He didn't care. But here's the thing. They're saying the Civil Rights Act was passed by Democrats, but that's not the case. 69% of Democrats voted for the Civil Rights Act. 94% of Republicans voted for it. So that a large majority of Republicans voted for it, more than Democrats, and they're saying that the Democrats passed it when is Republicans. The 15th Amendment, which gave blacks the right to vote, 0% of Democrats voted for it, and 83% of Republicans voted for it. So, people that say that Republicans are the racist party of the South, that's not the case. It was the Democrats who had slaves, and they don't tell you this part of history. I learned most of this doing my own research. So it's a shame how people say Trump and basically just characterize the whole Republican Party by one word. The Republicans are racist. How are we racist? We believe in freedom for all. We believe in equality for all. We believe if you work hard, you can build a future for yourself and your family. We don't want to build barriers between race and religion. We want freedom for all. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press. It's a shame how the other day, one kid at school, he asked me if I support Trump, and I said yes. And then he said how? Because he's racist. So then I said, well, if you know your history, Democrats are more racist. Now, I found the Republican platform of 1856. This is what they ran under in the election of 1856, where the Republican nominee, Fremont at the time, won 11 out of the 16 northern states. And then the 1960 election, Lincoln won. After Lincoln was assassinated, it was his president, Vice President Andrew Johnson. Johnson was impeached. And then we had Ulysses S. Grant as president, who was a Union general. But this is from their platform. Resolved, that with our Republican fathers, we hold it to be self-evident truth that all men are endowed with the inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that the primary object and ulterior design of our federal government were to secure these rights to all persons under its exclusive jurisdiction, that as our Republican fathers, when they had abolished slavery in our national territory, ordained that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, it becomes our duty to maintain these provisions of the Constitution against all attempts to violate it for the purpose of establishing slavery in the territories of the United States by positive legislation, prohibiting its existence or extension therein. The Republican Party was built on the idea of abolishing slavery. Ronald Reagan, the 40th president of the United States, who I deeply admire. He wasn't president in my lifetime, but I deeply admire him. He wanted a strong military, equality for all. He produced jobs. He produced low taxes. He provided for our country great economic time. He helped end the Cold War. He reduced the size of government. Here's a quote. Well, he said this, where, how can someone from the big government say, I'm for you, I'm for the people, when they're also for the big government and the big donors? It doesn't make sense. So do not believe the false perception that Republicans are bad. Do your own research. I hate it how people, my teachers, they're like, they have to tell you one thing only. It's like, Republicans are bad, but Democrats are better. Republicans did this, and Democrats did this, which was better. How are you letting us have our free ideas when you're expressing your own opinions? I don't believe teachers have the right to express their political views on students. Many kids I know, if a teacher tells them, oh, Trump, he wants to kill all these people, or he wants to do this, or he wants to build a wall and deport everyone, he's evil, or whatever. Then some of the students, the naive students, they're like, yeah, he's evil. I hate him. And then I give them the facts about Hillary Clinton, and they're like, well, I'd rather have someone a little evil than Trump. But it's like, you just want someone. You just said you don't care that she's evil, that she's better than Trump. But what has Trump done? That's the thing. I'm telling you, people, do your own research. Do not buy into this crap. The media, they're just propaganda for the big government, the globalist elites. Hillary Clinton. Her campaign, they already think she won. She did not win. And I will refuse to have her as my president. Next election, I will be able to vote. And if she is the next president, I will not vote for her. Never in my life will I. I'm a strict conservative deep down. And I hope I have these values when I'm older. Do your own research. Form your own conclusions. Express your own ideas. Do not give in to the false narrative that the media and the left is telling you. You have the right to your own opinion.